Yes, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, at whatever time of the day you're watching this. Today we have with us the founder of Yaapt, Pavan sir, and yeah, we'll be trying to understand about the way he perceives students, the student community at large, technology, perhaps talk a little bit here and there about his philosophy in the driving philosophy that helps him determine what he's doing. So happy to have you, sir.
Very happy to have you.
Thank you. So let's start from here. If you could give a brief introduction about yourself, where do you come from? Where are you right now? What are you trying to build?
So, basically born and brought up in Andhra Pradesh.
Right.
Did my PSc in a college in Vijayawada. Then I did my masters in Vizag. That was basic my education. Then from a career perspective, I got campus selected. I moved to Pune where a different life opened up for me.
Right.
For after that 1 year, I moved to another company called Amdogs. Amdogs was very rich in knowledge, opportunities to learn. Was there, and then I moved to Australia. I lived there for almost 9-10 years.
Right.
Made my life there. Built a family, 2 wonderful boys.
Nice.
And after that, for the project needs, I moved to Singapore. Spent 3.5 years there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I returned to India. Focused on building startups, learning, because I was genuinely interested to learn more than building stuff. It was an eye opener for me on how different these two worlds are, the corporate versus startup.
Right.
So I explored a lot. I learned a lot. I got beaten up a lot, and in the last 2-3 years, I realized that Yaapt is one thing that I want to really focus on, because it gives me a lot of opportunities to learn, gives me a lot of opportunities to experiment.
Right.
And who else are better than partners in experimentation and risk taking? The students themselves. there is no better partners for it.
Right.
So fortunately, I found right partners for it. The way we are building it, the way I have moved from the repivoting cycle that I had. So finally, that's how we ended up.
Nice. So I do hear that a lot from members within the club itself, that you are interested in interacting with students, giving back to the community in whatever way possible. But I am trying to understand, taking a step backward, that this shift from corporate to starting something of your own, where did that stem from? What was it? Was there frustration within the corporate world, or was it just like you had to start something of your own, or was there something more deep and fundamental than?
There was always something more deep and fundamental, because I have always tried something else even while I was in corporate.
Right.
I was trying to experiment products, trying to build some utilities, trying to build some POCs, and unfortunately the corporate structure that you have takes you towards a bit of a rabbit hole journey into what is happening. It doesn't allow you to explore what's happening outside, because you have so much on your plate then and there itself. And that definitely had a kind of a thinking impact, if I can say. Like, get frustrated that it feels like you are left behind.
Right.
And as a person, I am very technical in nature. I love being close to machines, playing with them, writing code, talking to them in one or the other way. And somehow I missed it very badly.
Okay.
And I was like, I need to get back, and that's one of the best ways for me to get back is to build something on my own and try to play with it and experiment with it. And you are right, the journey was also very different. I didn't expect that the journey will be so turbulent. It was very turbulent, but I tried to learn as much as possible as I move forward in that journey. So yeah, in short, I had that in me for a long time, but after 15 years of running around all of that stuff, I felt like abhi nahi to kabhi nahi.
Right.
That's also one of the factors, right? So just get that kick in the nut and say, now do it, or you don't have other option to do it anymore.
Right.
And that's the reason why I took the big decision to wind up, come here, settle down, move entire the family to here, start experimenting on a daily basis.
Okay. So now you are currently based out of
Hyderabad. Yes.
Right. I hear you when you say this, that there is a lot that is derived from the gut. Like you have that feeling that yes, I want to do something of my own. But a lot of times, perhaps we don't realize this. Sometimes that feeling comes from the fact that I want to, perhaps the feeling is out of the nature, the surrounding that we are into. When you were in the corporate world, you were leading a fantastic life. I don't think you getting into Australia, then getting into Singapore, and then having the time of your life. But what I'm trying to understand is that how conducive was the environment around you when you were taking such a decision? Like it's not always easy, right? You have your own family commitments, you have your own. So to take that jump, was that conducive from your standpoint or the people around you?
It wasn't an easy decision. It had got its challenges in all different fronts, all different sides. But sometimes it's just the gut feeling. Sometimes it's like I said, some simple thought process that abhi nahi to kabhi,
Right.
or something like hope. Hope to do something different. Hope to do what you are doing, something that is dramatically different from it.
Right.
So that kind of mindset gives you a step forward. And many of the step forwards happen at various stages of life. By the way, it doesn't happen once in the night and then you wind up and you move forward.
Right.
It happens at many stages of life. But there is one point exactly at some point that becomes really a step forward.
The trigger.
That you somehow take that step straight away instead of just thinking all of this. Fortunately, I had my managers, I had people who advised me, how you can do stuff, how you should not do stuff, and they provided some form of guidance through the journey. And even now, I have few people from my past where I can go and ask them, what do you think about this? But I generally don't press the panic button when needed. But yeah, it's nice to have some people that you can back from such. That's something that has happened.
Right. Yeah, those people definitely matter.
Yeah.
I was curious. We have. It's becoming difficult because we have had so many conversations with us, so it is becoming extremely difficult to draw that formal boundary. So quickly jumping into the part of it where you actually went into building things, and I think as they say in most of these books, that failure is the norm and success is an exception. So I was just trying to understand that you, as a part of this, a lot of time you would have faced hardships, failures. If with example you could explain how did you tackle those, how did you come out strong, and what made you decide that Yaapt is my calling?
So when you start your journey into an unknown territory, when you start moving in a direction where you have very limited knowledge,
right.
Generally you start with what's available to you, what's shown to you, what's visible to you from external world.
Right.
So startups are always supposed to be very exciting, all of that stuff. And initially I tried to keep balanced on my forte on the technology side. As time continued and one after the other the failures started piling up, I realized that startup is not just about technology, it's much more than that. It's not the pictures that are shown to you is very different from the reality. Uh, and especially the mindset that you come from a corporate where you have a lot of cushion, you have a lot of support from various areas. If you have a challenge in thinking, you can go to your manager and say, hey, I need some help in this area. From the very simple logistics to thinking, to people help, to technology help, all of that stuff comes when you can open and go and ask. But startups comes with a very constrained mindset, constrained challenges of that you are everything. It's on you. So the failure started coming in, and then I realized that I lacked the skills that are needed to. I lack the non-technical skills that are must for building a startup. And that's where my second phase of journey started. So I always think that the first 20 years or 18 years of life before that is one, and after that the learning is different. Because right at that point of time I understood the importance of understanding a human experience. I understood the importance of a user acquisition strategies, growth strategies, and how it happens, and what are the ways in which you can learn them, and what are the ways in which you should not learn them. That's more important,
Right.
Because quite often there is so much literature that is thrown on you that you tend to understand that this is the best way. So I learned it the hard way, and then I started my journey around it, and that has helped me to progress a lot with it. In the sense that I realized that technology is a very small piece of the entire startup experience. There is much bigger piece of it where humans in the loop is important. How to understand the human experience, their challenges, and how to build a growth engine that is different from viral engines, and what is the art and science of growth, which is typically called as network effects, all of that stuff. So almost I spent, could say, 1.5 years in trying to understand that, and that was the peak learning point for me, cycling myself. And a learning experience is always enjoyable, no matter how much the noise is around. Like once you are focused on it, and once you start learning, once you start moving in that direction, you realize that something is happening here, and you embrace that path. That was an important change.
Couple of things to grab there. A lot of food for thought. I was just thinking that if you could explain this, like Yaapt is not your first startup. There was a startup before this. What happened? Like, why did you stop that? What was the?
I played the main role of technology in it.
Right.
So technology delivery is only one part, and that's where I realized that the failures have more reasons for having some working app or a working prototype.
Right.
The human connections are important.
Right.
Okay, understanding how to take it forward is important. Understanding, having a strategy to speak about it is important. Having a strategy to connect with your users is important. And at the end of the day, that is the critical essence, and that's where we struggle a lot. And that's when I realized that you have to look at the full picture. That's the failure part that I had. I failed because the connection part wasn't right.
I have a understanding, like a rough understanding of Yaapt in my own way.
Yeah.
Right. But before, like, I was trying to understand that if there is a within the college ecosystem or within any academic institution, there are students, there are faculties, there are non-teaching staffs, there is the alma mater. There are a lot of people within an academic institution, and most of the time, people who are outside this corpus or group of people, when they approach these academic institutions, they have a very transactional approach to things.
Correct.
Nothing bad. I mean, I'm not attaching value to any of it, but I'm just saying, where does Yaapt try and fit into all of this? There is a system within the academic institutions. I see you interacting with a lot of students. You trying to build a student community, but where exactly do you see yourself fitting in an academic institution?
That's a wonderful question. There is a lot of thinking around it.
Right.
Now, when you are working with people, as you move forward and you start building stuff, there are two ways to look into it. One is where, like you said, a transactional entity, give and takes and all of this. And another one is looking at like a partners, looking at someone whom you can hold the hand and try to move forward, right, with all of them. Yaapt has given me that opportunity to partner with students. Why? Because the way I have observed the cycle of growth in students, first, the academic prowess or the challenges in sharing that, in being part of that whole community, there is a gap in the current market that we saw. And it can only happen that gap will be filled when you start looking at the student community as partners of it, the community, not the external ones who are trying to influence it. Okay, so and this is one of the big reasons why I try to take a lot of filtration approach in how I approach the student community as well. And NIT Surattal is not the first college that I approached. There were a couple of colleges that we failed as well. Right? There were a couple of colleges that students I spoke to spent a lot of time with them. There were consulting organizations that we connected to. We worked with a couple of projects. We worked with a couple of consulting projects with them. And what I wanted was someone that can offer that hand-holding and partnership perspective. See, when you go with that perspective of being a partner in a game, you try to enrich each other. What the students of NITK has given me is that they have enriched my knowledge on their challenges and how the ecosystem works.
Right.
And I was able to enrich them with the knowledge base, the reality of how industry works. What's the reality of growth and marketing? How you should think in that direction. Not that I'm an expert, because I'm also found a partners in learning with them. So yeah, the in short, the answer is that we are not looking for just some form of transaction, but we are looking for partners, and that's why it took so much time. And that way it was such an arduous exercise for us to find that partnership on the table.
I think the partnership aspect of it, trying to treat students as partners in your building process, I mean, that sounds very interesting to me. I have a couple of things to go ahead on. I want to ask you, but I think I would be jumping there because I think I am taking it for granted that I know what Yaapt is doing. Right. So if you could just tell for the audience, and perhaps the praise that you have given to NITK students, perhaps that will go a long way. But yeah, the jokes aside, I'm just trying to understand what is the delivery mechanism in Yaapt. I have heard a lot of feedback as to formula sheets, ready-made academic materials being available on your app, notes, etc. being available at the very crucial time of examination. I mean, that's boon to most of us. In the whole hustle or the bane of trying to find PYQ, trying to find the right notes, because I mean, I wouldn't like to be on camera stating this, but let's put it this way, that we go to classrooms to cover the attendance criteria, most often than not. So, alas, most of us don't take notes. But But yeah, making the right material available at the right time. What is the delivery mechanism? How do you make sure that this happens? Who are the stakeholders involved? All of that.
So, yeah, there is one part of it which is we talk about notes and materials and all of that stuff. The reality is that the objective of Yaapt is to build a community that is inside the students and it is meant for students. A community that can hold each other hands, which cannot be currently visibly coming out. As of now, if you look at the students, they have multiple ways to collaborate, work with each other, or express, express brotherhood and Instagrams, Snapchats, WhatsApp groups. They are there. But I saw that there is an essential voidness in trying to build a community where it is more answering the respective needs of students. Academics is only one part of it. There is a need for looking at and trying to understand how the classrooms are going on. For example, you might miss a class today. In the evening and say, "Kya ho gaya class mein kya ho?" That kind of a lot of valuable content is held by students, which currently you can't push it out anywhere. There is no standard way of delivering and focused on that activities. Either they are thrown away in different platforms in different patterns, like a WhatsApp group or a WhatsApp chat or a Snap or a call or and Instagram is definitely completely on the other side of what's happening in the campus. When I realized that form of information is nowhere being captured, and that information is something that can build a strong brotherhood between the students, and that kind of community is what I wanted to build. So more than the books or the PYQs or the right materials, it's all about students coming together for something that they all need for.
If I could ask, don't you think that such a community is better built offline? Like, let's say in a 300-acre campus, like Suratgarh.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to ask this to better understand what Yaapt is doing. Isn't it better that students try to approach the community building process offline by by utilizing the campus to its best possible
Absolutely.
use case? Yeah. So I'm just trying to understand if what's your thought on that?
See, yeah, humans are social animals, right?
With certain antisocial animals. Yeah, I mean, there are antisocial animals also. The people,
right.
Not everyone likes to.
But at the end of the day, even that people will try to find solace in the brotherhood of some of the few people, not everybody. Right. And that's how humans evolve. That's how humans evolved, as moving in groups and herds to further continents where their life started in Africa, and it moved. No individual moved, right? It's always groups who are moving here and there. The best form of social is always face to face. There is no denying to it.
Right.
And that's why I tell my team members as well is that leave the chat, speak to them. Talk to them. You will get a different perspective. The best form of social is face to face. There is no absolute question about it. But when things get a little bit tricky from convenience perspective, from time management perspective, from information sharing perspective, let's say you wanted to share what happened in the class, or some question that has been asked, or something that you remember 20 days ago, there was something that the professor asked, what was it? Now, those doesn't carry very well in such a big requirement of having a full-fledged social coming together. So that's where platforms like Yaapt can enable that kind of communities. And if you look at the build of Yaapt, it provides a very minimalistic design. You don't have any nagging push notifications. You don't have any mechanisms to hold you onto the platform. We have built a very simple, plain vanilla app. And that is built for a reason, because even in the future, if you want to progress ahead, the progress will follow this minimalistic feature as you move forward. Because the initial bricks that you put on a platform is what eventually the building leads to. So yeah, I am completely with you. Given a choice, please speak to people, talk to people, live to live, face to face. Nothing will replace in the world, and that will give you your ability to express to people, talk, build that camaraderie that you need, build that even handling challenges together. That's the best thing. But everything else, trying to build something.
So, as you mentioned, like there is the reason I was asking this question was because I was trying to visualize a place, let's say, where people build communities 100% offline. Isn't this sort of a utopia a direct rivalry of Yaapt? I'm trying to say, although you are saying you are serving the other side of the table, but if aren't you pushing yourself as into versus with an offline?
That's why I said, given a choice, please.
Right.
Build that human relationships, build that camaraderie in the real life.
Mm-hmm.
But not everything is possible in that direction. The time management, so much of things happening, and given a choice, I would like that I will go hand in hand with us kind of, people who are working to build something which is close. And we could happily add value to it. Like, for example, the experience that you had in building that community can be shared offline or Yaapt. So we see that it's an extension to it rather than as a rivalry. I would love to be in that direction rather than seeing it as a competition.
Yeah, that's the precise thing I was trying to understand. Is it complementing or is it just trying to be orthogonal?
We'd love to complement it.
Right. Now I was just going through the UI of Yaapt, and I vouch for it. There is a lot of things that you can definitely try, which is useful. I have seen people give shout outs that within the campus, especially in my own department, electrical, that it is curating some of the finest content, which will go down in time, because these needs will not become obsolete.
Correct.
That's true. Whether you try to access it offline, whether you try to access it online, these needs will remain the same. But more fundamentally, if Yaapt was to have a long-term vision, what would it be like? If all of that you are imagining, or all of that you're trying to build goes your way, then what is the final destination?
This is a very difficult question. Because we live so much in today, tomorrow, and maximum day after tomorrow, that it's difficult to visualize what eventually it will happen. In fact, the interesting part is that my journey till now has been the other way. That's like, initially when I built Yaapt, the framework, that the concept of loops and the concept of privacy around that was built in a very generic way. It's like you build a machine and you don't have any purpose on how to use it. Right? Let's say you build a grinding machine. Okay, what should it grind? It depends. Its purpose is to, you build a grinding machine. So unless until you identify what are the things that it can grind and how the output can be used by some people can use it, then there is no point of grinding machine. So initially I started with that from a generic perspective, and then it was part of my startup journey to understand that you have to come down to the path to map to your vision, map your thoughts, map your thinking about how do you want to scale it up, to come to the niche and then grow from there. So in that sense, being a general community social experience based on you and based on how a human can communicate with others, coming down to the point where I saw a lot of value for what I've built and it is aligned with my vision to build something for the student community to start with, and as a knowledge system and as a AI system on the top. That's where we are trying to find a stable ground. Okay. As of now, I really think that it has got functionally a lot of capabilities that can support a longer vision. First, I'll put it in 3 bullet points. The first one is the perennial, the persistence of that experience for a long time. The 4th year you are leaving. 1 year down the line, I know I didn't want to make it, but I have to give it a chance. And the next year, and the very next year, you will keep relishing these experiences. So, if you open Yaapt, those specific loops that are there is some kind of a persistence mechanism to what you have experienced. It's not like a thrown away photo album. It's like your journey being part of it as you go through. This semester I did this semester I did that. So, it's kind of your ongoing experience in the college, first of all. Second, connecting back. Like you just said, the kind of information that is on Yaapt is not something that's going to die. The need for it is continuous. So imagine you are in this company, you're sitting there and you get a notification that you have suddenly new subscribers to your book. You have people who are coming from the juniors or second years and third years, and they were frantically looking for some information, and you know that what you have done to the college back is being still cherished. Right? You will feel about it. It's a very, very internal and very beautiful experience that you will feel. So persistence and longevity is the first one. Okay, the second one is the need for a conversational experience with your friends. Today, when you speak to GPT systems and that stuff, there is always a question on trust, but let's keep it aside. It's still a botting experience. But the way we have built Talk to Know is based on a human experience of how students converse with each other on the need of the hour. Like, yeah, give me what was that question that you asked me? What is that? Give me the formula for this. Like formula sheets about this. Give me the formula for this. And you make calls, you leave lots of messages, and you leave hard messages, SMS. I don't think you guys are using SMS anyway. So that's the kind of trust you build with your friends. And the TTN is an A experience of that. So we wanted to make sure that the Talk to Know kind of conversations are something that you will cherish with your friends, not the other way, like what experience. So you have your friend's photo there on the top, you have the loop there, and then you talk. We made sure that the conversations reflect not just in the limits of the loop, but also the kind of conversation that happens. And it provides you, hey, look at this. This is the page where this answer is coming from. This is so it correlates to that human behind that book. Okay, so that's the kind of answering and the question experience that we were talking about. The third one is from social experience. We have built social experience which questions a lot of what is happening today. For example, the simple design decision that we took is to not to put any subscription model to user level. You can't subscribe to a user on Yaapt. And it was done with a thinking process that the best way to connect people is by their matching personalities or matching needs rather than trying to connect with the person as a whole. So, for example, you might like your friend for his fitness purpose or a specific subject purpose, but his songs probably you just want to die, right? Rather than hearing them. There are many things out of it. No human is connected with another human 100%. Never
just recall a friend like that. Like that moment, yeah.
Right? So that's how we are built. So you can easily plug in and connect and appreciate one perspective of a person, trying to, not to get into another way where you are pushed to accept something which you don't like.
Yeah.
So that Nook's framework, that social experience is fundamentally questioning the way humans are connected using the current digital experience. So 3 things, like I said. One is the chat experience, another is the social experience, and the ability to make that content fresh, keep your fresh perspective as you go through. Not as you move through, that Nook's capabilities will keep giving you that freshness as you go through. You don't want that just, we have got a new requirement. One of our team members told me that they wanted to add a capability called archiving. So currently we have Nook's privacies, you can have public protected Nook and private. Yesterday I was speaking to Pratibha Alfez and the team there from US again. Very beautiful group that I have, very strong. And they said, can we have an archival function to Nook? We'll think about it, we'll discuss and design and implement it. So you keep it aside. You still live and breathe, but you keep something away from it. Right. So yeah, that kind of function. So social, perennial data and AI implementation, this sets things apart a bit.
Am I right in thinking of Yaapt as a social media platform for students? Is that a correct way of putting it?
I would see the problem with social media is that,
yeah, minus the noise.
I mean, it's difficult to minus noise from social. That's the whole problem, right? It's initially the platforms.
Don't you think that's a good thing? Like, even when we friends come together,
yes,
it's 90% of the time us talking trash.
Absolutely.
And it's just those 10% of those
Absolutely.
moments that we talk sense, and sometimes that 10% of productive talk comes because we have talked 90%.
Correct. Absolutely. That's the fantastic way to define Yaapt pipeline. So if you try to look at the classroom experience that we are talking about, we are not talking about stringent nodes or well-defined nodes or anything like that. Just something that happened in the class. Today there was a joke. Today there was the professor who showed us a very interesting concept. It's a flow of information of how you move forward in your life and move on. But let's come back to that point of how we wanted to look at the classroom experience. But let me answer the noise part.
Right.
Noise is like an essential evil in the system. Okay, it's good. Sometimes it helps. It helps you take your lots of stuff out. But when that noise grows to a stage where it becomes a pain, that's where things start falling apart.
Like, can you give that?
For example, if you are just focused on, let's say you spend half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour of the current social media, and you spend 1 hour on it. And when you close it, what do you feel?
See where you're getting.
No, what do you feel?
I mean, to me, it's like I've not done anything. But
Yeah,
I
that's
also
noise.
couldn't care less what more could I have done in this time. I mean, like, that's my way of thinking about it.
Yeah, sure.
That I think what better way I could have utilized.
Yeah. So now, what better way you could have utilized it is some other part. But the fact that there is a bit of a disappointment in yourself after doing that leaves a bit of a pain, and gradually that noise becomes a pain. And many students, at least many of them has confirmed that how they try to uninstall the current social medias before exam, something that they need to focus on. And but the gravity of these platforms is so high. They pull you back in one or the other way. Like once you are done with your exams, you go back install it, and that's fine. It's okay, and it's not wrong. So that's where the pain point comes in. As long as it's noise, it's beautiful, because you need noise in life. Without that, you won't. It's like resistance in a circuit. You need it. If not, you will short circuit on that. So let's come back to the point where you asked about whether it's a social media or
for students.
But try to, let's call social media minus pain instead of noise.
Okay.
Now, the problem is that the word social media has become such a prevalent perspective that you cannot somehow convince someone that you are on a social media and for a right purpose. It's becoming challenging. So let's say you go to your parents and say, yeah, I spent half an hour on Reels or half an hour on YouTube, irrespective of what you spent on. Maybe you're watching a tutorial or maybe you're doing something nice out of it. The first perspective that comes out is, why are you wasting time?
Isn't that a perception problem?
Yeah, it's a perception problem.
More than just actual...
No, it's definitely a perception problem.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a perception problem that came out from an experience. The perception is not created on a taste.
Also time gap.
Also time gap, yes.
Like understanding of the time that we are living in and understanding of the time that they come from.
Correct. Absolutely, that's correct. I'm talking about a general perspective, right? Now, that's why I didn't want to use those words straight away.
Right.
Because the general perception comes differently. But we were coining something like a socio-academic platform. To try to explain to the people that it's not what you think when you think about it as a conventional social media. I'll tell you the impact. If I start saying yes, it's like another Instagram or it's like another social media for students or subreddits or anything like that, the people who come on board straight away will start looking at it in that way. And it has happened to me in the past. So when I was like I said, I experimented with a lot of students before this, right? I experimented with a lot of colleges as well. I failed in conveying this message. And I chose the easy words. It's a social media platform for colleges, for students, and you can create groups for yourself, you can put a good amount of share stuff and all that. And suddenly, in 2 days, it started looking like an Instagram.
Nice.
And I had a very challenging and troubled time to pull it back. So the words that we use are very important in this case, because you are right, the perception might come from an experience, change of generations, or even for that matter, it might be just the perception, right? But that has a very strong impact on the platform. Let's take an example of conventional social. When you look at Twitter, what do you think? When you look at Twitter as a platform, what do you think? One word.
My threads comes first. Threads of long posts.
And from a domain perspective, what is it used for?
To me, the first thing that comes is news. A lot of news.
Right. So, news, Twitter. Instagram.
Reels.
Entertainment, Reels, Instagram.
Right.
LinkedIn.
Professional
connections network, LinkedIn. So that perception is what has built us by looking at it, experiencing it, and all of that stuff, right? Now, Twitter, yes, it's news, but there is a lot more than Twitter. A lot more than Twitter, people try to do it, but it got stuck with that perspective, right? Real-time updates, news. Real-time updates is very similar, it goes hand in hand with news. So the news is a domain which picked it up instantly, the Twitter as a platform. So that's where I'm very bit concerned on how, and especially when it's a small baby. Right. When it's a small baby, those kind of words really have a very long-lasting impact. And the change of it is very difficult. Trust me, it was very difficult for me to control that flow of making it like an Instagram rather than making it look like Yaapt. It was difficult.
Okay.
Because if you look at the past content, currently you will see all the content that is there on the student level on the platform. But if you go to the last year content on the platform, you will see very generic notes. You will see very social, not Instagram kind of social media notes, but a very generic personal notes like hobbies or news articles or comic or fitness related, food related, gardening related. So the kind of users that I onboarded at that time immediately connected to the concept with that kind of different personalities they have.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized that is not something that is not something that I would like to take it forward. Like I said, I came from a bigger to the niche market, right? So now we are at a stage where I feel comfortable with the platform. Mm-hmm. As a person who created it, I feel happy. I feel some sense of satisfaction when I look what the platform is being used for, mm-hmm. and I feel I get that energy to make it move forward. And I also feel like that I got a right partners that I can work with. So I'm very conscious of those words that I use. As of now, we were thinking about the word socio-academic. So just to give the perspective, guys, it's not if you see the two words, we removed the word media out of it. It was very essential for us to remove the word media.
Right.
Because the point of media becomes an open-ended question on every aspect of it.
What should you post?
What should you post?
Right.
You come from it. Anything that comes out. So I took the media away and I wanted to assert that this is some form of a social experience. So socio is a word. But I wanted to give an immediate perspective that this is something that is a bit different from content media. So the academic word got it. So as of now, we are trying to settle down with the word of socio-academic.
Does this come as a fear that there are possibilities that when you scale this, it would turn out to become a social media? I say this because these are experiments that have been done in past. I mean, not exactly in the similar setting, but people have tried to remove the noise. People have tried to constrain social media platforms in their own ways. Tried, have been successful for a time and then failed.
Yes.
And I mean, whatever, say what you may, but these social media platforms have passed the test of time. I mean, they have been running for so long and they have been able to attract so many people. So does this come as a fear that in the long term you might also turn?
That's a very important question. And I wouldn't deny the fear of that, first of all. The second is, every time there is something that you hear about the social media platforms, like you said, I have seen several attempts being done by several people around to do something different in this case, right from the point of Cambridge Analytica scam from Facebook and all that stuff. Every time
Twitter, for instance, India had a coup, but yeah,
exactly. Now, let me connect back to the point where you said that I spent 1.5 years in trying to understand what works and what doesn't work. I'm not a guru here. I definitely don't say that I'm an authority. But the fact that somehow I'm able to sit for that much of time trying to understand what goes wrong with it. I was like really paranoid at that time. Really, I was very paranoid. I used to track, like a stock tracker, I used to track all the platforms that are starting up and how they are behaving, what are they behaving, what were people talking about it, offline, online, Twitter, and how the people who are pro with it are trying to talk about the app. and how they are trying to pitch it. And I used to track all of them, and I saw their growth and down. Cool. Clubhouse, Fast Apps, Crew is another example, and there are Video, for example. There are many social platforms which try to do the basic stuff. But what I saw is that most of them followed a similar template of a platforms that are already established.
Right.
Trying to add a little bit of a change in it. BDL is a good example. BDL tried to replicate it the anti-Instagram way, but more or less follow the same philosophy. Eventually, it ended up as being taken over by another creator economy platform, as far as I remember, maybe if I'm wrong. Then, if you take Who, for example, vernacular is excellent option, but even the Twitter has its only niche base of news at this stage, and trying to make it vernacular is an excellent choice, but it couldn't scale that concept to the next level because it's the same template. There was another platform that was launched by Andhra. Andhra is one of the pioneers and gurus of startup ecosystem in US. He was one of the founders of AngelList, and he started another platform which is completely voice-based Twitter. Think of Twitter without voice, with just voice. So you don't write, you keep your voice. That also possibly failed. So when you think about it, what I thought was that you need the appetite for people to have a new social is almost dead, right? But if you are able to do something in those scenarios, you have to do something not just as an extension. You have to do something completely dramatically different.
I see.
You have to turn it around, right? So that's one reason why Yaapt is very stringent in that socio experience. Like, it's pretty plain. It just comes with our default algorithm, and you don't have the person to person. That was one of the biggest questions every user at the early stages asked. The moment we talk to the student, and the student say, "How can I follow you?" You can't follow me. Why? And then I used to cycle it around. The reason is because human connections are more valuable when you choose the very perspective of a person that you want to connect to, but not the entire person. It doesn't happen. And somewhere that continues. So given that background a bit, let's come back to the question. Am I afraid? Yeah. But in the last 1 year, the way I was able to manage it by keeping that expectations to the people as they're on it, it's one very fundamental thing.
For me, that like I'm trying to get at, if there is a do or die situation that comes,
Okay.
like let's say Yaapt has to take a very critical decision, that it has to survive. If it has to survive, it has to, to a certain line, or if it, otherwise it is gonna go into, pages of history. So at that particular moment, what is it that will keep you driving, motivated to do things as you are doing? Is the question that I'm getting at.
No. That's a very important question. And yesterday I was talking about many of the situations in my life where I took those decisions trying to eat a conventional thinking, and sometimes I succeeded, sometimes I failed, I rebound and all that stuff. But this is one question that I don't have a clear answer about what will happen in the future, but I'll tell you. If I look at the past, the last 1 year, it was a very difficult year, 1.5 year. I was really struggling to learn, understand, keeping aside everything else that I do. I'm trying to go through a very strong internal turmoil process to keep things moving, right? It wasn't an easy process. The biggest request that was asked by every student who has come in, the platform, and when we're telling them that this is the platform that you can share your knowledge, notes, and all this stuff, why there is no PDF?
Right.
You can't add PDF in Yaapt.
Yeah.
Not even the presentations.
Right.
Why? Then I try to explain my perspective. I try to give multiple reasons behind it. The generation that who is currently are having very small attention span, which is fine, which is fair. Many people complain about it, but I see it as a natural evolution. Why natural evolution? My parents and their parents, my grandparents, used to read books of 400 to 500 pages,
Right.
1000 pages, the Gitas, and all of that are huge, right? These books. If you probably have any grandparents' library, you will go there and you'll see books of this size. On our side, maximum was 150 to 200 pages.
Right.
It's not that the decline happened suddenly because of your guys. It's happening organically as the generation start moving. So we also move that loss of attention span. It's not that reuse or something is done to you. So in that journey of loss of attention span, there are two consequences. One, loss of information, and one, information chunked in a way that it suits your attention span but having the same clarity.
Okay.
Okay?
I see.
Right?
I see.
Now listen to me. The attention span part is correct.
Okay.
You cannot see a screen or an image for more than, let's say, 10 seconds or 15 seconds or something like that. Maximum 5 seconds.
Right.
But on the contrary, you can spend a lot of time on that system as a whole.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
If you pick up a book and read and 30 minutes, 40 minutes in the train, you tend to take a walk or move around and close it, and that's why you have bookmarks. If you have the capability to finish any book in one go, it's kind of a miracle for anyone. Few people do it, and I really am happy for that. So yes, the attention span has come down, but the overall ability to stay focused on that entirety is still there.
Committed. Yes. That's
Right?
true. Yeah.
So if you want to give something to them, it's like this dietary advices that you get: eat small portions but eat many portions,
Right.
many times, right? I saw that pattern suits well for the current generations, and possibly that will go forward in the same way.
Nice.
Okay, so and the challenge is that when you ask questions to the DPT system like give me the summary in 5 bullets,
Nice.
then you are not getting 5 bullets. You are getting a very compressed, zipped format of 5 bullets where there is a huge loss of information. Right? So I take them through this journey.
Right.
I walked them through this journey, and then they started, okay, I understand now. I understand why you don't have it. It would have been nice if it was there, but I understand why you don't have it.
Right.
And I also see that pattern in the people's usage of TTN as well. Earlier, students used to give me TTN queries like, summarize this entire book in 5 bullets, like I'm a 5-year-old. These were real questions that were asked on the TTN.
Right.
Chan put all the Nook summary in one go. Give me 5 bullets of this Nook summary. And I purposefully made sure that the TTN doesn't answer these kind of questions by design.
Okay.
So then I started seeing the real questions coming up. A specific concept, a specific formula, a specific question, a specific query related to a system. And then that's when I realized that, okay, initially the people might be resistant, but if you take your time, if you show them a value, if you explain that purpose well, things will eventually work out.
Right.
Okay? So I took this example because I had a fundamental need for existence at that time when we wanted users to, keep going the platform in January last year, where we had an ITK and I've started working with the team, and we had the vision and I tried to explain to the people, and I'm trying to really make sure that something works out of it. Okay. And at that time, the major pushback that I got was PDF or no PDF.
Okay.
I didn't do it. Instead, I took every part of me as much as possible, as much small time that the students can give me. I know you guys go through a very busy life. It's
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, busy round the clock. Yeah.
So I used to get hardly like 10-15 minutes from them.
Yeah.
Many students I tried to speak to. I have this class, can I speak to you in 1 hour, half an hour, 45 minutes? And I tried every possible way to use as many microseconds as they used to give me to explain this. And when I look back, if we reach to the point that you're saying about that, will that point of decision be harder than this? This is an existential crisis. And this is a feedback that's coming from users, that if this is not there, I don't get it. And by the way, that was one real scenario that happened to some of the seniors, some of the masters or PhD kids that we spoke to in NITK. And they said this is not useful for us because we work only with PDFs, which is fair.
Right.
But there was an opportunity there. If I add PDF there, those guys were willing to give it a try.
Right.
But I stood that if I add PDF, then there is no life for this product. Then the whole value will just vanish. The value of feeding this next generation in chunks that they can understand,
Right.
and their attention span challenges, at the same time their ability to absorb that information and trying to make the best out of it, is how the design was moved from the very early stage. Now, just because I wanted a couple of users to experiment it, if I question the very fundamentals of what I started with, then I don't think I
completely see where you're coming from, and I appreciate that, because I think to each their own, and it's such a huge market that you can definitely find someone for your use purpose.
Right.
And that's where I see all of this fitting. But more on the side of, the aspect of being a contrarian, right? I'm just trying to, it's only coming from the perspective of trying to understand this better.
Yes.
If at all someone comes up with this idea that the work that you're doing is just, trying, you are a technologist, you understand how technology works. If someone says that this is just GPT wrapped or a notebook LM wrapped, what is in it that is different from what I can get there? If academic is the only purpose, why not I choose that over this, which has a lot of a lot of takers.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of takers. As well.
I generally try to put the things in a perspective so that I can give an answer to the ChatGPT versus you have Google Photos and you have Instagram.
Right.
What's the difference? Both have the similar content.
One is private, one is
Technically. Let's talk about the technical part, because you said ChatGPT wrapper, etc. Right? Let's talk about the technically first. Both have a similar content. Both have the photos. Both have the ability to store photos. Both have the ability to share photos.
Right.
Then what's the difference? The difference is about one platform is built for bringing people together.
Right.
One platform is built for a personal, consumer-centric, one-to-one kind of a system. ChatGPT's, notebook LLMs are built for single own, single consumption systems. You have small share capabilities.
Right.
It's not that they don't have. Similarly, the way the Google Photos have share capabilities as well. But when you look at Instagram as an example, it's meant to build. It's meant to build. It's supposed to.
Right.
It is expected to build community.
I love how there are so many.
It's supposed to bring people together.
Yeah.
So, and that's the first point.
Yeah.
The second point is what I'd like to explain for the last question. Again, the names matter, right? It was easy for me to put a name called Nook GPT.
Right.
I didn't put the name.
Yeah.
Till now, early users will struggle to understand what is TalkToNook. Whom do I talk to?
What is talking?
What is TalkToNook?
Yeah.
Should I call it? Is it a voice system?
Right.
The most easiest way to explain it is that I put a word GPT in it.
Right.
There is nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Nook GPT, for example.
Even for those who don't understand what GPT.
They will understand.
Yeah. True. Good.
But I didn't do it. Because the moment I put a GPT word in it, the expectation is that it's a bot. Right? But that's not how I want somebody to visualize what TalkToNook is. I wanted it to be, in fact, some of the friends used to get an early comment who used to use TalkToNook on Isha's Nook that, why is Isha responding at this time? Right, Tejaswar? You remember that you came back and said, sir, he's telling that why is Isha responding at this time when they use TalkToNook? Remember those comments that we received?
Right.
That's the kind of experience that I wanted to give. It's about talking to a Nook. It's about the Nook belongs to a person. The Nook is Isha's Nook. The Nook is Tejaswar's Nook. The Nook is Atiba's Nook. The Nook is Alfai's Nook. So it's about talking to the person rather than talking to a bot. And we fine-tune that system in such a way that it gives that kind of engagement experience. And going forward, we will make it completely autonomous in its own way. Our architecture is even to elaborate it, to build an elaborate SLM model, small language models, that every Nook is independent. It doesn't have any dependencies with another. So, yeah, that's a big difference between the chat GPTs and TalkToNook. We don't want you to feel that you are talking to.
Right.
We want an experience of talking to a friend, an experience that says that, you were asking me, I remember you talked about what the professor said on that day. Tell me what it is. And system will be able to find what is in the Nooks and then come back with an answer in the Nook itself. And that's by design. In the world of LLMs, answering is the most easiest thing to do.
Right.
It's very difficult to keep a GPT system shut up because it will talk anyway.
Yeah.
It will hallucinate, it will answer. It has an answer for everything.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And we did the difficult task of restricting it.
Yeah. Contextualizing it.
Restricting it, stick to what is being said in the Nook, not more than that. And many of the efforts in the code went in doing it. Else it's a very simple flow, but we built an entire RAG pipeline just to make sure that it restricts to that.
I was also trying to understand, this reveals a very interesting human side of things, right? Like, we are not looking for right or wrong answers.
Right.
We are just looking for answers. And I was just trying to see if this contextualization, this making of community fits in there very well, right? You know that perhaps your friend has posted, or that is perhaps the reference through which the Nook is responding. So I think that way I see it very it has a very promising aspect to it.
And that was the last feature that we added to the TTN almost 5-6 months ago, where earlier the first version of TTN used to give an answer.
Right.
Now we also bundled all the posts that were responsible for giving that an answer.
Right.
So you read that answer and you have immediately the sources of that answer from your friends' nooks available below. So you can go and check that post directly.
Right.
So that gives more validity to the answer. That gives more purpose and trust levels to the answer.
Right.
The first level of trust is what is on the top, the nook and the person itself.
Right.
That's the primary. That's the first certificate. There is nothing that can deny it. And then the answer the fact that we are trying to answer only based on the nook. That's a fact that we are, because the name itself says talk to me. Right?
Right.
Then the answer is supported by the list of the posts that were coming from the nook.
Right.
So we try to build that whole 9 yards of, from the point of the creator of the nook, that you know your friend, you trust them, this is the person that you know very well in real, down to the point about where and what that person has posted.
Right.
And this is what the answer behind. So we're trying to build that conversation. And by the way, this is not something that I thought about magically.
Okay.
I relived a conversation about how friends talk to each other. In fact, first our pitch had many of that snippets of the little conversations that we had with our friends, like, यार वो notes भेज देना,
अच्छा.
कल सुबह चाहिए मुझे, ये क्या था question इसमें.
Right.
You know, all of that small little conversations I relived them, and I have converted those relived conversations into an experience. That's it. I didn't have anything else.
Right.
I didn't think of it like magic.
I come from, I have a lot of interest in technology, and a lot of what you're doing is something that I envision as at least the tech side of it. I mean, I'm just surprised. This would have taken a lot of technology, right? Or is it? Explain the tech side of this, because I think obviously we are talking high level that what's the future, but it would have taken a toll when it comes to building. I mean,
it is really a toll, because if I was not the technologies that I was, probably there are better and easier ways to build.
Okay.
Like in a startup world, build in a scrappy way.
Always outsourcing it.
Outsourcing it, build in a scrappy way, quick. Make sure that it works, and as long as it works, that's fine. Don't try to build the state of the art, something like that.
All of us have seen those memes. Right? Code, when it works, you don't touch it.
Exactly.
Right.
But our backend infrastructure is elaborate. We use 3 languages: Node.js, JavaScript, Python, and Golang. Distributed databases, we have Redis for caching in the front end. We use Quadrant for embedded vector database storage. We use dgraph for vectors for graph storage.
Okay.
We use MySQL for authentication database storage. We use NATS.io for service bus. It's built on entire microservices architecture, which we can scale much faster when we need it.
Okay.
That's the S3. We use AWS as our infrastructure deployment. Recently, we have added better abilities to understand images well.
Right.
It's still under beta testing, and my groups are still testing it.
Right.
What we realized is the current image management systems, or the LMs, the vision LMs and that stuff, they are fine-tuned with very structured images, PDFs and all of that stuff, which has a very strong digital imprint. Those documents are structured well, not just from the visual perspective, but from the back-end perspective as well. Like, say, if you want to decouple a PDF, you can extract elements and try to understand which element it is and how to understand it, how to get extract of it, what is a graph, what is an image, etc. But the kind of experience that we are trying to drive is that we want very unstructured notes.
Okay.
So you are in the classroom, you write couple of scribbles.
Right.
But those scribbles, there is a lot of value to those scribbles if they are understood well. Right?
Definitely something that I cannot say about my notes.
No, that's because you haven't seen it. Try to give that information to the people who need it and they will value it. Okay, and we try to process it. We try to process it from the rough notes as well. So we encourage students to have a very bit of a liberal approach towards writing notes.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the reason why I wanted that to happen among the students. Generally, the process happens is that there is someone who is writing the notes and that stuff happens over through, let's say, 3-4 weeks, and then you have big sets of quizzes coming up. So what this person does is they make sure that it gets accumulated all the time.
Right.
And in that accumulation point, there are many tear out the pages, throw away pages, and all of that stuff that happens because it doesn't meet the standards of notes being shared.
I see.
Right? It's not standard in a way like ye bahar jayega to people will taunt me or something like that, and they would say that this is not the kind of notes that I wanted to share.
Right.
And what happens is that process takes a good amount of time. That at the end you get those notes at the very last few days, and when it becomes a behavior, when it becomes an acceptable process, the people who are trying to seek them will take it for granted that I will only start doing it 2 days or 3 days before it, because that's exactly the point where they will arrive. Right? In that fight for being structured notes, the time is lost on both the directions. But what if we visualize a point that your 70% or 80% notes can still be published on a typical day of you've done, or we saw these students in the library, right? They're doing something, they're writing in the first and send it up. So the people who are ready to accept it in that way can really accept it. And that 20%, 30% that so-called irregular or not correct will be taken care of by the AI. That's what the systems are for.
Right.
Right? The AIs will be able to predict the patterns properly. The VLMs will pick it up.
You're being conservative when you say it's 20%, 20%.
That's the fight between how challenging that is and how the AI systems evolve in the other direction.
Right.
They will.
Right.
And I think we can teach the system very well when we move to SLM models to be able to predict and understand them. It's the more you try to test it, the more intelligent the systems will become. But I want you to understand the cyclic effect, the repercussions of it. These 3 weeks that the students have made up the mindset to wait has now started decreasing it, because whether they like it or not, it's in their mobile. There is a notification. There is 1 page. There is 2 pages maximum. 1 class, 2 pages maximum.
Right.
You open it, something was in.
True.
5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes. You spend it. Okay, fair enough.
There is a depreciating aspect to it also, right? Like even my notes, if I am writing it today, tomorrow I may understand.
Yeah.
Like I'm strictly speaking from my perspective, because my notes are something horrible, horrendous. They're crying to humanity. I mean, I think they should never become public. But I am just saying that the aspect of it is that if I start referring my notes 8 days down the line, even I don't understand it.
That's fine. It's
Lo and behold, someone else.
No, that's okay. That's where the systems are built to handle it. That's where you might not be readable for it, but trust me, you are not the only person who does it. There is a whole doctor segment who is known for that kind of capability. So systems are built to understand that, predict the patterns, and that is where the AI is really good.
Yeah.
Right? So the best way for you is to leave them with the systems to get the best out of what you have written.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
So I know that
At
I
least
can
one or two
understand.
lines is something that definitely I can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can clearly look at it, and the additions of the description in the post. The description in the post that you write will give it more references. Will give it that's digitally written, right? So that
I get it.
retains yet. So it gives the pointers and
Context,
correlate
yeah.
and the context, and it's able to correlate it.
Right.
So yeah, it's a boon for a lot of people like us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to like see all of this, like trying to visualize the world where Yaapt becomes how you perceive it to be, right? And I think a lot of it stems from trying to understand your vision in some sense. I was curious if the long-term vision is achieved, what do you plan? Like, if Yaapt does achieve what you have set it out to achieve, what's your next step? Like, what would you be doing next?
Well,
I know it's like, I know from where you are coming, it is looking way ahead in time.
No.
But just trying to understand if there is something
why
that.
when my kid says that it's impossible for them to visualize that I won't do anything.
Okay.
My son has a list of things that I would do.
Right.
Farming, okay. Preaching. He added that to the list as well.
Is it your list or like his list? Okay, he wants to do. Oh,
No, he says that I'll do it.
Oh, okay.
This is what the retirement plans would that would be.
The preaching, okay. But no.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I'll do something. I'll definitely. I think I cannot leave technology at least. If I leave the product side, but I cannot leave the technology. Tech will be part of me for a very long time.
Right.
And we have several partners who are capable of taking care of it once I put my hands down. So I'm not worried about who will take care of it, but legacy. Yes, that's easier to answer. But I'll do something related to technology.
Yeah, I wanted to get there.
Yeah.
How was it that you became so passionate about tech? What, like, I heard it from my friends as well, that sir is into tech and deep tech. I mean, it is something that is ingrained. It looks like second nature, but I am sure that this would have had its own building. It is not something which is there in everyone.
I'm not sure about everyone, but it's something that I got very deeply connected to. I still remember this, and probably that's one reason why I got so fascinated about it. It's in my school. I studied in a school in Vijayawada.
Right.
This we are talking about 1990s.
1990s.
Early 1990s. Great. 1985, I think. That school had one computer which used to manage everything. And there used to be one big, like disclosed room.
Right.
And one of the mans who have come from US, trained on it, was the only one who could use that system.
Okay.
And being a student, like maybe I'm not sure like many of you, but I used to get called to the madam's rooms quite a lot.
Okay.
At least once a month.
Right.
One or the other way, something used to happen and I used to go.
Right.
And that particular cubicle was always very mystical.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, what you just see is a little TV, that's it. You don't, a little typewriter kind of a keyboard, that's it. You don't see anything else, right? It's
All
below
machine.
it or anything like that. We can't see it.
Right.
And the fact that only that ma'am was having access to it and she understands it was something that was very fascinating. What is it? And how this double-like TV has made something so much different. Unfortunately, things became, I would say, things became understandable as you move forward, and I got to know a lot of it, and then I continued my life with it. And in that journey, I had my own failures, and then once I started catching up to it, it was a fun ride. It was something that I really, I don't know, I just sit down and I feel happy with it. And quite contradictory to say it, but sitting down and visualizing to talk to a computer is much fascinating and much entertaining than speaking to a human. Right? From a social experience perspective, you sit down and you hear those rantings that comes out of a computer in the form of, hey, it's wrong and that stuff. Right? That becomes more entertaining and more nice than speaking to you. So, for 8 years, I think once I moved to Australia, for 7 or 8 long years, all I did was just be with code. That's it. Be with systems, be with code. And at some point of time, my managers moved me towards more human person, more connection with humans, and they said that no, you have to step up now. You have to move towards people management, talk to people more, and all of that stuff. But till that point, it was a fascinating journey that I got with the system, right? And I love it. I found my peace in it for some reason.
It would be very like hilarious if I put it this way, that someone who was only with computers for 7-8 years still in community, like community of
The
people.
paradox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's something.
But yeah, thank you, Pavan. It was a great time.
Oh, it's amazing.
I had I think we were planning to do this for a long time, and I believe that when the stars align, it's only then things happen. Things a particular way. So thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to you. You have any questions for us?
No, there is more than questions. I just wanted to feel assured that the future is definitely bright in your hands. Coming here and there are so many questions when I speak to people outside. Unfortunately,
Yaapt has feel the same way. But okay.
Fortunately, Yaapt has given an opportunity for me to get in touch with all of you people. Speak to you, try to understand what your challenges are, what you are going through, and irrespective of what the perception is outside, I think there is a lot of great potential, capability in carrying the challenges of future. You are living in one very dynamic and transitioning period right now, where everything is changing from every aspect of technology, every aspect of life, financials, transport, lifestyle, living, culture, food, and technology. Of course, there's a big impact because of AI and person. And it is not easy to live in such a dynamic environment. It's not easy at all.
Right.
This kind of dynamism literally kills a lot of, it really asks for a lot of collateral damage. But I think you guys are putting up it very nicely. I'm sure the future is secured in your hands rather than us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's energizing to be part of this.
Great compliments well taken. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Good night. Thanks, sir.